Good afternoon, and welcome to the Pharr International Bridge Board Meeting for Wednesday, October the 16th, 2019. The time is 12 p.m. We're going to go ahead and start with a roll call. Here.
Present.
Here.
Mayor Hernandez, Mayor Pro Tem Carrillo, City Manager Alex Mead, Deputy City Manager Ed Wiley,
Here.
Bridge Director Luis Bazan,
Present.
Director of Operations Fred Rowan,
Present.
Finance Director Carla Saavedra, present. City Engineer Omar Alexandova.
Present.
Okay, we need a motion to excuse Larry Hernandez and Alberto Campero.
A motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Martinez, second by Mr. Flores. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And would like to acknowledge the Commissioner Caballero. Dr. Caballero is present for our meeting in representation of the mayor and the commission. Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation by Luis.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Lord, you have entrusted us as stewards of your creation. Please guide our hearts as we make our decisions. We seek you first in all we do together. We give you our citizenship, our leadership, our customers, our workforce, and our business. May we always be mindful of their service. We confess that we are nothing without you, and our trust is in you completely. Amen.
We're gonna go to item 2, which is the consent agenda. And we have approvals for the minutes for September 25th, 2019. Consideration and action, if any, on the renewal of the Texas Border Coalition annual membership dues for $5,000. Consideration and action, if any, on Border Trade Alliance BTA 2019 membership silver patron level renewal for $10,000. We need a motion.
Luis, were we gonna discuss this? The BTA?
2C.
That's already been discussed.
Okay.
2C, right?
For 2C. Do we have any other questions, or we need a motion?
A motion.
A motion by Mr. Martinez,
Second.
second by Mr. Flores. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We go to item 3, which is the Director's Administrative Report, and we're gonna start with a Crossings and Revenues Report for September 2019.
Good afternoon, board members. For the record, Fred Rowan, Director of Operations at the Pharr Bridge. Again, I'd like to welcome Dr. Caballero, Commissioner. Welcome, sir. For the record, Fred Rowan, Director of Operations. I'd like to go to page 3, car crossings. This is the last month of the year, fiscal year 2018, 2019. And these are car crossings that are crossing from the U.S. to Mexico. For the month of September, we crossed a total of 43,557 vehicles, cars, which represents a loss of 18,497, or a 29.81% for the month of September. Also like to present the other car crossing from other ports of entry. We have the Gateway in Brownsville, a loss of 2,309, 2%. Vero en Los Tomates, 1,330, 1%. Free Trade Los Indios, they have a loss of 1,307 cars, which represents a total of 4%. Combination of all 3 bridges, we have a loss of 4,946, or 2% decrease compared to last year, same month. Eagle Pass, they had a loss of 5,651, a loss of 2%. Laredo Bridge, they had a loss of 5,488, a loss of 1%. The McAllen Hidalgo, they had a loss of 20,104 cars, a loss of 9%. And the Anzalduas Bridge, they had an increase of 2,358, an increase of 3%. The combination of both bridges, a loss of 17,746, or a decrease of 6%. The Progressive Bridge, they had a loss of 9,231 cars, which represents a decrease of 19.76% for the month of September. The Honor Bridge, they had a loss of 2,417, a loss of 5.17%. And the Pharr Bridge, we had a loss of 18,487, a loss of 29.81% for the month of September. On page number 4, we have the truck crossings. These are trucks that are crossing, traveling from the Pharr Bridge from US to Mexico. For the month of September, we had a total of 51,994 trucks, which represents an increase of 5,781 trucks, or an increase of 12.51% for the month of September. Overall, from October to September, the total crossings that we, on trucks that we crossed through Mexico, into Mexico through the Pharr Bridge, we crossed a total of 623,155 trucks, which represents an increase of 29,029 trucks, or an increase of 5% compared to last year, fiscal year 2017-2018. Also, I'd like to present the other crossings, truck crossings from other ports of entry. For trucks, again, these are trucks that are crossing from the U.S. to Mexico. We had, in Brownsville, Better and Los Tomates, they had an increase of 766 trucks, which represents an increase of 4%. Free Trade Los Indios, they had a loss of 184 trucks, or 9%. Combination of both bridges, they had an increase of 582 trucks, or an increase of 3%. Eagle Pass, they had an increase of 831 trucks, or a 6% increase. The Laredo Bridge, they had an increase of 6,540 trucks, which represents an increase of 4%. The Pharr Bridge, we had an increase of 5,781 trucks, or an increase of 13%. The Progreso Bridge, they crossed for the month of September, they crossed a total of 5,387 with an increase of 1,815 trucks, or 51% increase for the month of September. The Ensalduas Bridge, they had a loss of 797 trucks, which represents a decrease of 33%. I'd like to mention again that the truck crossing in Ensalduas are only empties, Commissioner, and they cross only from Monday to Friday from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. On page number 5, we have the northbound truck crossings. These are trucks that are traveling from Mexico to the U.S. through the Pharr Bridge. We have a total of 53,388 trucks, which represents an increase of 2,663 trucks, or an increase of 5.25% for the month of September compared to last year's same month. The agriculture trucks at the Pharr National Bridge total 13,651 crossings for the month of September, representing 26% of all the crossings that are coming from Mexico to the U.S. Also, I'd like to mention that the agriculture trucks at the Pharr Reynosa International Bridge show an increase of 952 trucks, or 7% over the same month in fiscal year 17-18. On page number 6, we have the revenues. Revenues collected for the month of September, we collected a total of $1,187,219, an increase of $207,603 for the month of September, an increase of 20.98%. Overall, revenue collected from October to September, we collected a total of $14,626,244, an increase of $1,058,865. I'm sorry. Overall, board members, commissioner, it was a very, very good month. We know that when we started having the issue on the cars, starting in April, the issue with Centroamericanos coming in through all bridges started losing cars as of April. And even though without losses, we still have an increase in revenue every single month. For fiscal year 2018-2019, it was a very good month for us, especially on truck crossings. If you have any questions.
I have a question on the Los Tomates.
Uh-huh.
I guess it's the one that has the most increase like us. Do you think that it's oil and gas or?
That's exactly what it is. Board member, yesterday we had a meeting with a gentleman from that crosses gas, petroleum, and one of the reasons that we had an increase in Brownsville due to the fact that they have the overweight corridor, and it's easier. It's for them to load the truck in the port in Brownsville and cross through Brownsville as well.
Los Tomates.
Los Tomates. And there's also as well other factors as well, that we had increased, but we can discuss that in executive session to give you more information, detail as to why the increase on Brownsville.
I just think we had a very good month,
Overall,
You
yes,
know,
sir.
the produce season's not really kicked in yet, and
It
with
was a
issues
very
with
good month.
automotive plants and, stuff like that in Mexico and the US.
As a matter of fact, it was one of the busiest months. If you compare the rest of the months, September, August, we had 3,460. As of the month September, we had an increase of 5,781, an increase of 12.51%. As a matter of fact, it was the best month for the entire fiscal year.
Do you have any more questions?
No,
Thank you.
thank you.
We're gonna go to line item B, which is the finance report for September 2019.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Commissioner, City Administrators, for the record, Luis Bazan, Bridge Director. We do have Carla Saavedra here, our Finance Director for the city, in case there are any questions. Obviously, we're 2 weeks into the new fiscal year, so there's nothing major to report on at this time. So, but what we are gonna do right now is provide you with a quick, brief, overall, not closing, because we haven't really finished closing the last fiscal year, so we won't be getting our net position until maybe another few weeks. But for the meantime, we invited Eddie Gutierrez, our financial consultant, to give you a just brief of where we stand. It's basically in accordance to what Fred was talking about with the crossings and the revenues, but we just kind of wanted to paint an overall picture and show it in graph form. Eddie?
Good afternoon. My name is Eddie Gutierrez. I'm with Bluestone Capital Solutions. I'm actually piggybacking off of Fred's presentation. However, we take this into a step further where we actually look at the annual trends that are actually happening. So it's an annual comparison. The first thing we did is we took a look at the annual comparison from the southbound cars. And as you can see, we noticed that the trend has been going down, and I think we expected that as it's getting tougher and the longs got longer. But at the same time, we also turned into being more of a commercial side, and you can see the trend as the trucking side of it going southbound, which Fred has been discussing all along, where you can see the increase in the truck crossing going southbound, and you can see that increase over the period of years, how that's been increasing. And in addition to that, you see the southbound total vehicle crossing has been, it's been pretty flat, it's been pretty steady, but the actual truck crossings which actually got us back up there to where we need to be, where we're flat. The annual comparison on the northbound trucks, you can see that continues to go up, where your staff here is continuing to do everything they can to get their customers, the trucking companies, the ones that are trading to go back and forth, and you can see the numbers, how they're reflected on here. And then the final slide that we have on here is the revenues. We actually thought that for 2019, with all the barriers that we had, was gonna be a tough year, but it ended up being a pretty good year, as you see the revenues that were over $1 million that Fred just discussed. But you see the trend as it continues to go up, and we expect with the increase in tolls that we had and that we implemented this year, and also with the marketing towards the commercial vehicles, which actually pay a little bit more than the toll vehicles, I think our revenues are going to continue to go up, and we'll monitor that as we get further into the months, and we'll adjust our projections as we go forward. In addition,
Eddie,
this kind of
but to be clear, sorry to interrupt you, but
yes, sir.
the toll increases won't reflect on this past fiscal year. Am I correct, Carla? It'll show for next year,
Yes.
right?
Only yes, but
Right, but we only caught like what, the
Very
last
little.
month, 2
September.
months? Yeah.
August, September. So we didn't get the trucks in there also, so it just reflects that. So, but I will tell you that when my train that was going, I will tell you that for for November of this coming year, we'll have the finances once we get the balance sheet and the income statement all finalized. We'll go ahead and put that together and do a presentation on that, and we'll look at the historical expenses that we have also cut up, and we'll compare what expenses are going up and what expenses are going down. But as of right now, we just want to show you a trend. Obviously, the trucking is actually doing fantastic, which is what we want it to happen. The revenues continue to go up. So you'll see that that's been a good trend. And I'll open up to any questions you might have. We just want to give you a trend of what's happening from year to year, guys.
What did we budget for as far as an increase for the following year? Traffic,
Oh, we did a 4%.
4%? Okay, that's good, conservative.
And we expect that the vehicles to continue to go down, so we'll budget for that.
Okay, do we have any more questions?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Just a bit more on that. So we had forecasted a couple of years ago that year after year, for the next 5 years, this being year 2, that we would increase southbound truck crossings by 4%. So we came in at about 5% for this last fiscal year. When it comes to imports, northbound trucks coming in from Mexico to the U.S., we did about 6% on that end. So we had also calculated around 4, maybe 5% of that. So we're doing really well. And we had also forecasted a 4% decrease in car traffic. So we pretty much hit the mark on that. And, these issues that we continue to see on the border, we realize that, they're not going away anytime soon. This is across the board. It's not just the Pharr International Bridge. It's affecting everybody. As you can see with car traffic, everybody has lost car traffic. So we were hoping that, one day we can get back to some level of being normal. But for the meantime, we've adapted. The trade has adapted. And I'm just happy to say that we have prioritized trade through our partnership with CBP and our folks in Mexico, our government dependencies in Mexico, and we're making it work. We're freeing up about 40% of capacity inside the import lot for all this new truck traffic that's expected, these new shipments of produce. We just had the start of the produce event, which will show up we'll show in a little bit. But as we continue on a positive trend going forward with growth, we're adapting and we're going to make it work through our partnerships that we have with CBP and the rest of the folks.
Luis, so to stick on the budget, so we finished with a balanced budget. Everything for the
Correct.
most part stayed
Correct.
on par.
Correct.
The geopolitical stuff, I mean, that's something that's out of our hands. But despite the loss in traffic, just to kind of recap, we still were able to. We focused. We budgeted a loss on cars. We budgeted a loss on trucks. We still came out $1 million over on revenue, budgeted revenue.
Correct. That's correct.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Great job.
Affirmative.
Do you have any other questions? No. All right, we're gonna go ahead to my line item C, which is the engineer's report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, city commissioner, and city administrators, we do have Omar Ansaldúa, city engineer. In case there are any questions, I'll give a quick brief on where we are on our projects, and then Omar can, go further into detail as far as more of the technical aspects of it. So on the project status for our DAT 15 projects, which are our inbound commercial lanes and our exits, we're going for rebids in January of 2020. And you're looking at about 10 to 12 months of construction for those projects, as it's mostly considered to be civil work. When you're looking at the DAP 16 project, which is the dock expansion, the dock expansion 2, which is the cold inspection facility, and the ag lab and training facility, we're pending final exhibits. So Omar and I are coordinating that with the architect and engineer, and we should have hopefully everything ready for what they call the donations acceptance agreement here fairly soon. When it comes to the BSIF project, the Border Safety Inspection Facility project, as we know, this is a TxDOT project. In getting with TxDOT this week, there's going to start construction finally in November of this year. So it's positive news, as I brought to you last time, but it will be an 18-month construction period to get those 3 phases of project out of the way or completed. And then when it comes to our office expansion, we started building the walls, or I shouldn't use that terminology, right? Building walls. We started. I think they say going vertical. They say going vertical in the engineering world. So we started going vertical this week. The parking lot and the foundation have been laid. So it looks like we're on time. So I'll let Omar give you a better understanding of where we are.
Just to add on what Luis mentioned, as far as the bridge office expansion, the timeline we're looking at is probably January or February of next year to be totally complete. There was some delays with rain these past couple months, so that kind of pushed it back, 30 to 60 days. But they're moving along now that it's going vertical. That should move pretty quick. As far as the FY15, like Luis mentioned, that's the northbound lanes and the second BSIF exit. We're looking to go out for bids in January with the anticipation to award in March and be under construction maybe April of next year. That should allow us to, the TxDOT project, the BSIF, so that they'll be out of the area, so there won't be any conflict with two contractors in the same area. So that gives us a little bit of time to stagger these two projects. And then the FY16, like Luis mentioned, we're wrapping up the donations acceptance agreement. There's some financials that we're trying to get over to the GSA, and they're also there's some numbers that they're getting to us that we have to kind of pay up front for some of their operating costs, some OIT, IT costs that they expect an upfront contribution from us to get the project going. And so that should, we're looking at probably bidding that one out in the fall of next year. So that way, trying to stagger these projects out so there's not a lot of construction going on at the same time. And that's, if there's any questions, that's kind of the timeline we're looking at.
Correct.
Luis,
Yes, sir.
on the repair that is being done right before you get to is that a repair, or are you guys expanding anything there or modifying?
It's a rehab. It's basically, right, it's a rehabilitation. So they're basically it's part of the
Recarpeting.
overweight corridor. As you can see from Cage to Jackson Road along Military, it's
The
all
concrete.
concrete now. So that's basically what they're doing there.
Okay, so they're gonna pour
So there's no
concrete.
expansion or anything. It's just basically just pouring concrete.
Concrete on it.
Tearing everything up and pouring concrete. So it's rehab.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? No. All right, we'll go to item D, which is the director's report.
So yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, city commissioner, and city administrators, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, we launched the start of the produce season, which we've been doing for the 5th year in a row here at the Pharr International Bridge. It was a very successful event, so I don't want to say much. I would rather just show you some pictures. You've probably been seeing some of the pictures circulate in social media. We also have a very short video. It's about a minute long to recap the entire event. I think we broke another record this year by having over 200 people in attendance, and some of our elected officials were there as well. So we were just very excited, and as I mentioned during the event, I couldn't be more proud of the staff at the Pharr Bridge and the leadership, because they allow us to do the work first and foremost, but these are the folks that get the job done, and then they had been working tirelessly. And then we also had the chamber serve as our MC, and now that the chamber is launching as well, it's official that they're going to start obviously selling memberships. So it was a good opportunity for our chamber to also get involved with some of our customers and ensure that they have the right path going forward. So with that, I'll just leave it to you for leave some pictures, show you some pictures, and then there's a video at the end to kind of recap. So there's just some pictures. One of the biggest challenges, obviously, when it comes to these types of events, and it's now become an event that, not just for the start of the produce season, but also for the State of the City address, and also for the annual health fair, is to actually have our companies, our customers donate fresh produce. So this is something that, single-handedly I can say that, Freddie kind of takes on that challenge every year, and every year it's so much bigger and so much more produce that's donated that we actually have to have a reefer on site and go collect the produce and start storing it in the reefer while we await the day of the event. So obviously what you see here as well is a nice cake. We got the idea because it is our 25th year anniversary this year in November, so we wanted to celebrate. This is also the start of the produce season, so it's basically a birthday every year for start of the produce season. This is a cake. So they did a phenomenal job putting this together, and I think everybody that got a piece of it enjoyed it. So we're very excited about what we had there. Something different. We made it a little bit bigger. We had some piñatas. We just had, and now we had two areas for cutting the fruit, because as you would do in a normal inauguration for any business, you would have a ribbon cutting. So we do a fruit or a produce cutting. So everybody got to that's Edgar's truck right there. So I know he sponsors that every year, and he brings it over. So thank you for providing that. And then at the end, it culminates with the fruit cutting ceremony. We had Texas International Producers Association. We had, as you can see, State Rep Sergio Munoz, and we had our State Senator Juan Chuy Hinojosa, our mayor. And now everybody slices. So at the count of three, once Rebecca from the chamber gives the, notice, everybody cuts the fruit, and then they show it. So, and then at the end of the day, what do? We give away all this produce. So we give it away we have bags, and everybody just kind of picks up. And then what's left over, which this year we had even more, we actually donated to the food bank of the Rio Grande Valley. So that's always a nice gesture, and they appreciate that. And that's it. These are our sponsors. So again, I just wanted to thank Picomex, Primo, and the RMA for being our top sponsors. Actually, cash sponsorships, and the rest were actually donations of fresh produce. And every year it grows. So when companies see this, they want their name on there as well. So we get a little bit more product every year. So again, just wanted to thank everybody. I think it was a very successful event. We couldn't have done it without staff, without all the support with the stakeholders. And then this is the video right here. I don't know if it has sound. And that's a wrap for that. So again, thanks to everyone for making that vision a reality, and we're looking forward to next year.
Great job, everybody.
Congratulations. Do we have any other questions or comments? You got anything else, Luis?
That would be it right there. Well, actually, no, there's administrative number 4.
Okay. No, on the director's.
Oh, no, on the director's report, we're good.
Okay. On administrative, we have an item which is a discussion and action, if any, on Viva Fresh Summit sponsorship of booth, and booth.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, city commission, and city administrators. This is something, as you all are aware, we've been doing for the past, this is gonna be probably our 6th year. When Viva Fresh started, which is a product of Texas International Producers Association, we were the first ones to jump on board as sponsors back then, and we haven't looked back ever since. And I think every year that event grows. Obviously, with that growth, comes a little bit of a heftier price tag to it. So that's why we wanted to discuss it. And I think there's several options in your packet. So we wanted to leave it to your discretion. Again, the price has increased slightly, but again, if we don't come back as sponsors, we lose our shot at securing our booth that we've had there for the past 5-6 years. And this event is more of a regional. I think Tony can speak more to that. So if we're going to be putting more money into these types of events, I think this would be the one, as opposed to some of the more national events. Tony, I don't know if you wanted to add anything on that.
Well, yeah, just kind of some of the things we've been discussing lately is look at how much we dedicate as far as cash, time, to events like this. So the regional shows are showing a lot better return on investment versus the national shows. So for sure, we need to stay on board with Viva Fresh. However, we could look at other buckets and say, you know what, we could start saving. For example, Luis and I were discussing possibly for 2020, maybe lowering what we do at the PMAs, in particular the ones that's on the West Coast, like the one that's this weekend. So we don't really get much of a return in the West Coast. Why? Geographically, number one, most of our traffic goes to the Midwest and to the East Coast. It makes sense when it's in Dallas. It makes sense when it's in Orlando. Full sponsorship for that, but definitely for the West Coast, it's just smart investing from our part. But for as far as the Viva Fresh goes, yeah, definitely think we need to stay on board.
So at the gold level, as you can see, you either have $15,000 or $20,000.
What have we done previous years?
15. And that's what they're recommending. What the $20,000 does is basically give you additional entries, and it covers the hotel. So obviously, when we travel as a group, that's an extra expense aside from the sponsorship. So this will already include the hotel accommodations, the 20.
What do you guys recommend? Or what are you looking at? The one?
Like I said, if it was up to me, I'm always trying to save. So, I would do the 15, and then but we're still gonna have to cover the costs for the hotel. So at the end of the day, if we can get it all.
Is it better if we roll it all in together and do the 20? I mean,
Correct.
because
That's kind of where we're doing.
it's at the same venue, right?
It's the same venue, yes.
Every weekend is going to be, for every person, it's going to be close to 1,000.
And I agree with Tony. The response at Viva Fresh is way better than sometimes what we get at PMA.
I agree.
And,
I agree.
except for this next one that's going to be in Dallas that is supposed to attract. Not the next one this
It's gonna be
week,
the first one.
2020,
Yeah.
which is I think that's when we
That's when you want to go big.
that's when you want to go big. So it's in our backyard basically.
Correct.
That's it. But we need a motion.
So
You need a motion or
to be clear, so it'd be best to just do the 19 at the gold level or the 20 at the platinum?
That's the platinum. Yeah.
Okay.
I misspoke. It's at the top.
Okay. Let's move forward with that.
no, we need a motion.
Are they going to give us a speaking venue?
That's one thing that we've discussed with them the last 3 years. I know they've given one to us in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I know I took part in it the first year. Fred took part in it the second year. So that it should come with it, and hopefully we get another few more minutes.
Yeah.
And that's something that gets polished, as we get closer to the day of the event. We could probably settle on it right now. Let's say 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But that's something we can talk to Tipa about, and I'm sure they won't
Fine.
mind.
That's fine.
I think the most important about whether it's 2 minutes or 5 minutes is in what group they tell you, because there's
Correct, yeah.
certain speakers that bring in the crowd aside from us. so.
Exactly.
All right,
Let's move forward.
we need a motion.
No motion.
Second.
We need to.
Platinum.
Motion.
Platinum, 20,000.
We got a motion by Mr. Martinez,
Second.
second by Mr. Flores. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Motion carries. Now we need a motion to adjourn.
Can I just bring something up real quick? Just wanted to mention that we do have Bridge Connect coming up. Freddie, would you mind giving us some more information on Bridge Connect?
Again, this bridge connect will be with DPS, USDOT, and HCRMA, the overweight. It's basically because we're entering the produce season, so there's a lot of overweight, and that's something that, the industry is looking for right now. The trade, they're requesting, along with Canacar from Mexico, to do this. So this will be on the 24th this month, sorry. That's it.
And also to add, as of December 2019, DPS is gonna start enforcing e-logs on commercial trucks in Texas. As the
Which-
federal mandate.
Yeah, that's something else that we're having talks with DPS, and that's another one that they want to host. They want for us to do entering 2020 January. That's that one right there with the electronic logging devices now.
For the Texas. You know, a lot of people already know that it's been enforced for the past 18 months, but Texas had an extension up to 2019. I'm gonna say a great percentage of our produce and other products go from the border to San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, or El Paso, and those trucks were excluded up till probably December of this year, and after that, they're gonna be enforced by DPS. So, I know questions are gonna arise.
And that's something that you guys like, Mr. Chairman Delgadillo, and you guys are with transportation and logistics. We do really want this support from the industry, as we normally do, but and transportation. That's on the maquila side and the produce side. And why not Pharr PD being involved too, now that they're here?
Yeah, and right now there's a backlog or the orders are backed up because everybody's trying to ask for the units at the last minute, and most of the vendors do not have them in stock. They have to be produced, and if you put an order in, it'll take you 3 to 4 weeks to get them. So if you order the last week or a week before, you're not gonna have them in place, and you will be placed out of service.
So just to add to that, this is not the first time that we do the overweight. We've had the RMA on board with the previous Bridge Connect when we first started talking about the electronic login device rule. So this is just a recap, but also just to ensure that everybody's on the right path, because we don't want anybody getting into trouble, because at the end of the day, we hear from them, and we need to help them out. And Bridge Connect is simply that. It's that platform that we offer as a free value-added service to the trade. Every month we bring a different topic, and we are averaging about 100 attendees, as I've mentioned before, per session. So if you have not been out to a Bridge Connect session, I would recommend to do so. Even at the recent trucking expo that we had here at the Pharr Event Center back in September, I think we averaged about 60, 70 attendees, more or less, and that was early in the morning on a Saturday morning. So it just goes to prove that we are doing the right thing here by the trade, and we're gonna continue moving forward on that path.
Guys, I'm gonna send this to United Fresh, because the Supply Chain Council, which we're now on the committee, they might want to participate, maybe through a webinar or something, because just some legal stuff that they might want to kind of get involved in. That'd be good. But also, Luis, since we got time, the tomato suspension agreement is a big issue. There's still a lot of uncertainty. Obviously, it affects our port because of the number of tomato crossings that come through here. The bridge is currently working on, with collaboration with TIPA, USDA, DC, to host a Bridge Connect. I know Freddie's already kind of putting that together. He's got some dates already set aside at the DRC for that. So that's scheduled tentatively for December. We're still kind of waiting for some documents to get signed at the national level to get the right verbiage so that DC can get their regulations in order, so that we can kind of relay it to the trade as far as what's happening. Same thing, just kind of piggyback. A lot of the association meetings are now kind of looking towards, they're looking at the Bridge Connects, they're looking at the start of the produce season. When Luis and I were in DC, we met with the Mango Board. We're going to talk to them again here at PMA, because they said, hey, you know what if we can go down to the valley, have their quarterly meeting here with you guys? Makes sense. Large part of their crossings are through here, so more and more we're starting to get a lot more feedback from the trade, and definitely the ROI is there. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's great. It's a lot of groundwork, so it's a great thing that you guys are doing.
Thank you.
If we don't have any other questions, we just need a motion to adjourn.
A motion.
Got a motion by Martinez,
Second.
second Mr. Flores. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Have a good day.